We're ready? All right. First thing we'll do, here it comes.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me. And I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head. And it's like, you know, I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Are you sure? Because, you know,
Stop trying to fix it.
no, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just, now, maybe the nails cause
You always do this. You always try to
Guys.
fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't. Maybe you need to stick the nail.
See, you're not listening.
Okay, fine, listen, fine.
Sometimes it's like there's this achy. I don't know what it is. I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Sounds really
Ow!
on. If you would just
Don't.
It's not about the nail. Do you guys ever have arguments with a significant other? I learned that throughout, I think it took me 15 years of marriage before I learned that it's not about the nail as a metaphor. Okay? It's not about the nail. You have to listen. So let's read our scripture today. Katie! It's not about the face. That's right. So, guys, next time you want that you're having an issue or your girl's having a bad day, just listen. I know, but that sometimes they don't need that. They just need you to listen. I'm serious. I know. I've got a lot more experience than you. Don't fix it. Just listen. But just listen. Okay, most of the time, they actually know how to fix it. So they don't need you to tell them how to fix it. They just want you to listen. Okay? It's true, right? All right. Katie, who's praying for us today? Ashley. Ashley, the prayer warrior. Let's do it. Amen. Art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. All right, thanks. So y'all probably didn't get a chance to look at this because we were trying to do BL Live and all that stuff, but I wanted to show y'all a new graph. We're actually not going to be having to draw this graph for this unit, but I want you to, for those of you that want to kind of get ahead and you want to visualize what the economy looks like, this is just like supply and demand, right? Except this supply curve is actually the supply of everything, and this demand curve is actually the demand for everything. And instead of price, we use price level, which is just an indication of what the inflation rate is. And then instead of quantity, we use, it says GDP, but normally we'll use real GDP. Okay? Do you remember all that from last time, what we mean by real GDP? Without inflation. Okay? In addition to that, this says FE stands for full employment. There's a level of GDP that we could have in an economy that would indicate that the economy is fully employing its resources. Everybody cool with that? And if GDP gets small, then we're going to have more unemployment, so we're not employing all of our resources. If GDP gets bigger, then maybe we'll even overemploy our resources. So to indicate some of those things, an inflationary economy is going to look like this. Maybe there's too much demand out there. It drives prices higher, okay? Or if there's not enough demand, it drives prices really low, but it also leads to unemployment. So we're actually going to be doing that graph next quarter at the very beginning, first day. But I wanted to introduce it to you now so you can visualize it if you want. Okay? So far, so good? All right, so today we're going to learn how to calculate real GDP. Okay, last time we kind of showed the necessity of it, because if you don't use real GDP, then just price changes can increase GDP, and that's not right. Also, you're going to learn how to calculate market baskets, price indices, growth rates, and that's not up here, but we're also going to do inflation rates. So you're going to do a whole bunch of calculations today. I hope you brought your calculator. Then we'll be able to apply the knowledge that we learned today to assess the strength of the economy. So you're going to be able to, you'll become doctors of the economy, basically. Fez asked that we take a quiz today because he wanted to show off what he knew about his homework. So I hope that's okay with y'all. Fez asked. Okay. Reminder for GDP. We just took that quiz. We got to remember consumption counts. So does investment. So does the government purchases. So do the net exports. Okay? All of that adds together to give us our GDP. Last time I briefly went through these things. Y'all remember these? Okay, net domestic product, that's just the gross domestic product minus depreciation. Okay, and then we learned that national income, you take the net domestic product, you subtract. Anybody remember what this stands for? No.
Net foreign factor.
Okay, net foreign factor income earned in the U.S. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then minus indirect business taxes, that's like sales taxes and stuff. That gives us our national income. Okay. Then personal income is found by taking national income, subtracting undistributed corporate profits, corporate income taxes, social security taxes, and then adding back in transfer payments. That gives us our personal income. That's what individuals earn. Okay. And then our disposable income is just our personal income minus our income taxes. That's what you can spend or save. Okay. I told y'all I'm not going to force y'all to memorize all of this, right? So I'm just going to give you, like, there's a homework assignment. I forgot to go over homework, didn't I? Yeah, there's 3 of them. Okay, it was on that slide. I'll show you in a second because we are going to go through it. Yeah, they're short. Less than 20. Yeah, they're like 10 questions, and then I think one of them has like 18, and then one of them may only have 1. I forget. Yeah, it's something like that.
So you're not that.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, like I said, I'm not going to make y'all memorize from here down. But I'm going to give you a homework assignment on these where you'll have to use the data given to calculate those things, okay? Open book, open note, open Google, whatever. All right. We also did this last time. We learned that there's 3 ways to measure GDP. And I told y'all, Fez, this was a reminder for the question you asked me. I said y'all need to calculate GDP using this method, but you need to be aware of the other 2, okay? The income approach, you need to be aware that rent, wages, interest, and profits all will add together to give us GDP. And then the value-added approach means you're going to add up all the value that's added at each step of production. This basically, this right here ends up being the same as this. It's just you're taking those intermediate goods instead of not doing that. And then as a last reminder, this was expenditure versus the income approach. The reason we like the expenditure approach better is because it's more simple. All right, now the new stuff, sort of. Do y'all remember the circular flow diagram? Okay, was it painful? Okay, all right, good. Now is it?
Did you say mind-boggling? Yeah, mind-boggling. Well, things are so crazy, get your thoughts all trapped like in a
It's GDP here. Okay. The expenditure approach is going to be the consumption, investment, government purchases, net exports. Those all feed into the GDP number. But all spending becomes income. So the income approach is coming out of the GDP box. Okay? So this is like a circular flow as well. Again, I'm not going to make you memorize that. I just need y'all to be completely, totally aware that spending equals income. Okay? When we spend money in the economy, our income rises. What we save ends up becoming investment. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, here we have GDP in your dreams. We got this guy. Y'all know Nick? Okay. He says he's dreaming. He's having a nightmare, actually. The oven in the cafeteria broke. What if they don't replace it? Oh, must have cookies. Don't worry about it. I have my sources. All right, so basically, remember we talked about investment and net investment and depreciation? Okay? If the oven breaks and they don't replace it, can they make as many cookies? And then what happens to GDP? It goes down. Very good. All right. So that was our, this really is the last part of the review. So basically, if we want to have growth in the economy, we got to have positive net investment. Okay? All right. Here's a historical example. Okay, this was from 2005. We had gross investment of $2.1 trillion. We had net investment of $531 billion, depreciation of $1.6 trillion. Okay, as long as our net investment's positive, that's a good thing. The economy can grow. And you remember we called it expanding productive capacity. Another historical example. Alex, you good on this? Okay, you sure? Okay. Great Depression. We had gross investment of $1.6 billion, but we had depreciation of $7.6 billion. So we had negative net investment, okay, by that much. So that's why the Great Depression was so bad. We couldn't produce if we wanted to. We had declining productive capacity. All right. This is what you'll have to do on your homework using your notes, okay? I bet y'all can do this anyway, though. All you have to do is pick the correct numbers that will fill out this chart or this list of formulations. So Fez, you go ahead. Tell us how to get GDP. What numbers do we use? Okay, that's this one up here, right? So 2316 goes to the consumption. Okay, then what? Very good. So we add that in. Okay. 673, good. Okay. Okay, good. So that didn't throw you off. So we take the 465 and subtract the 362, so positive 103. You add all that together, it gives us GDP. Is that nominal or real? It's probably nominal, unless all these numbers were converted to real prior to this. Okay? All right. Fez, pick somebody else. Angela. We never called this, we didn't use this word to describe what this is, but consumption of fixed capital. When you consume something, you use it up, right? Okay, so what do you think that is? It's got to be one of these numbers up here somewhere. Yep. Okay, consumption of fixed capital. That just when our oh, Alex. Good. So depreciation is what we mean by that. Okay. Cool. So it's using different words to mean the same thing. Here you go. Sorry. All right. So Corbin, how do we get our net domestic product then? Good. So 3288 becomes our net domestic product. All right. Yeah, it's just up here. Depreciation, 307.
So what does that mean again?
Oh, that just means that the capital's getting used up. It's like the oven in the cafeteria broke. It's no longer useful. It's been used up. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting used up. It's just like when you buy a new car. Is it worth as much the next day as it was when you bought it? Never is, unfortunately. All right, so what do we mean by net foreign factor income earned in the U.S.? So we have $112 was earned by foreigners in the United States. That means they produced goods here, which added to our GDP. Okay? But we're trying to calculate national income here. So we're going to add in what we earned in other countries. That's 100. So the net foreign factor income is going to be 12. Okay? So we're going to subtract the $12 that foreigners made in the U.S. that is greater than what we made overseas. So we subtract that from our net domestic product to get us our national income. Then we look at indirect business taxes. That's right here, 231. That gives us our national income. Okay? Cool deal? So a key here, foreigners working in the U.S. add to our GDP, right? But it subtracts from our national income. Alex. because the net foreign factor is the reason it's negative is because we subtract it in this formula. So it's the net foreign factor is actually a positive number. You just take what's made here minus what we make up overseas. Okay, cool. Then we got corporate income taxes. We'll just subtract those. We'll subtract the undistributed corporate profits. We subtract the Social Security contributions, but then we add transfer payments. The reason we add those is because we're looking for our personal income number. This is what Americans individually earn. Okay, so we add those in, and we get personal income $3,025. Cool so far? Then we're going to subtract our personal taxes, which is our income tax, and then we get disposable income, $2622. Okay, so you have one little homework assignment that makes you do all that. All right? Okay. Cool. And then this is not stuff we're doing. Okay. So let's go back to the new stuff now. Nominal GDP versus real GDP. Okay, I'm going to show you some formulas today, and we're going to learn how to calculate this. But we need to keep this in mind. Why do we have to convert to real? Here's why. An increase in prices will increase nominal GDP, or an increase in output. Okay, since our primary concern with GDP is how much are we producing, if it's only going up because of an increase in prices, then it's not going up. We're not producing more. So only an increase in output will increase real GDP. So here's your first formula for today. Real GDP is equal to nominal GDP divided by this new thing called a GDP deflator, and then take that whole thing and multiply by 100. Okay? Other words for the GDP deflator, you'll see it called an index. Okay? We'll use both terms interchangeably here. Okay? So nominal GDP measures output and prices. Real GDP just measures output because we've converted prices all to the same price. In other terms, or more terms, sometimes you'll see constant dollar GDP. That would be real. Sometimes you'll see current dollar value or money GDP. Those would be nominal. It's just terminology, so you'll need to get those straight. Yeah, Alex. No, it's divided by. Yep. Yep. Good question, good clarification. Everybody cool? And then the times 100 it's just to put it back to the correct decimal place point. All right. We'll be repeating this formula multiple times today, so if you don't quite get it, you'll be okay. But I'll wait. I went to the game and the alumni party. I think I saw your dad at the alumni party. I think I saw him. Yeah, I did. Go good? Okay, I wait. Yeah, I'm going to go to that. I'm going to sit on your side. I'm going to wear black. They'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. We went on a date afterwards. Oh, you want to see a picture? Yeah. Hold on. Addison, are you caught up? No. The GDP deflator is sometimes called an index. Yeah, good question. Let's see. Ah, here it is. That was at the alumni party. We had fun. Yeah. I was wearing black. All right. Here is why we have to convert nominal into real GDP. All right. You see this balloon? How big is it? It's $4,539.9 trillion, or billion dollars, rather. Okay. So nominal, we just measure GDP in terms of money. Real is measured in terms of the quantity of goods and services using dollars as the quantity. Okay. Now we're gonna use this deflator to make the balloon smaller. Okay. So now we have see this was GDP in 1987. Okay, the blue one. Then we've got GDP in 1994, but this time it says it's nominal GDP. So it's inflated. Okay. So using our formula, we need to learn how to calculate this thing. So remember the formula? Real GDP is nominal divided by the deflator times 100. So we don't know the deflator, do we? So I've got it. Well, you haven't learned how to solve for the deflator yet. We're going to. The deflator is 126.1. So now, can y'all convert this nominal GDP into real? Okay, so that's what we got to do. So that's where I want you to start using your calculator. Oh, for this one, nominal GDP 1994, we want to turn that into real GDP. In fact, we got the formula here. We've plug our numbers in. Why don't you have a calculator? Well, hurry up. You need to start bringing them because we're going to use it the rest of the semester. You already got it? What is it? 5,342.9. You got it. Does he deserve a nickel? I guess. As painful as that is. Yeah. No, but not on the test and not next class. Okay? No. So this is the real GDP. So all we've done is we've shrunk the balloon down, got rid of the inflation, okay? And now we can actually compare these 2 years, okay? When we saw the 2 years, this one versus this, we're like, wow, the economy's huge. Get rid of the inflation though, it still got bigger, just not by as much as what it looked like, okay? So you got to be careful. Here's why. If you look at this is GDP from 1960 to 1990. And the nominal GDP is the red plus the black bars, okay? So there is not a single year where nominal GDP decreased, right? Not a single year. So if we only use nominal GDP to measure our health, we've always had a good economy. But you all know from history that's not the case, right? Okay. So if we remove the black portion of the bars, which is the inflation part, you end up with these red ones, which are real. And so you see right here we had GDP shrink. We call that a recession. And we see it here, it shrank. We call that a recession. Okay, right, the next one over, there. And then right here, it shrank. Okay.
So it's the real economy. It's like the one that matters.
That's the only one that matters. The point of nominal is that when we're adding up this year's production, we're using this year's dollar values. And so we always start with nominal. That's just our starting point. Okay? All right, so far, do you guys understand the reason why we used real GDP? So you set this up. Okay, so we've achieved part one. Now we're going to learn how to calculate market baskets, price indices, which are the same, which is another word for what? Deflators. Okay. What else? Growth rates. Which, by the way, you already know how to do growth rates. Okay. Y'all have done that in your science classes, I believe. Okay. So here we have nominal versus real. Okay, in order to calculate the GDP deflator, also known as a price index, we're going to take the value of a market basket for the current year and for a base year. Okay, so the way the government does this is they add up every year what things cost, and they call this thing a market basket, where they've got multiple things in it. And if every year they check what that whole market basket costs, then they get a good idea of what inflation was between several years or among several years. Okay? So just think of the market basket as just a basket full of stuff that you would buy at the store. Have you ever seen those commercials where a lady buys a bunch of stuff at one store and then they see what it would cost in another store? Okay, that's sort of like what we're doing, but we're doing it for year over year over year. Okay? So the value of the current year market basket divided by the base year market basket times 100. Okay? The base year is whatever year we choose. It's seldom last year. Okay? I think right now it's the year 2000. That's just what they do. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They decide. Okay. All right. So as an example, the current year market basket $64. The base year was $50. Divide that, multiply by 100, you get a price index of 128. Everybody follow that? 128. Okay. So back to this, real GDP then is nominal GDP divided by the price index times 100. Sometimes I forget the 100, but there it is. Okay. All right, so we're going to do an example. Okay. For this example, y'all need to note that the market basket contains one purse. This is Veerland. The base year is 2012. Okay, that's important. Y'all need these formulas. First of all, the market basket is simply the price times the quantity of whatever's in it. Okay, we were just told that it only contains one purse. So it's the price of one purse. That's what our market basket is. Our nominal GDP in this economy, by the way, this economy only makes purses. So nominal GDP is also price times quantity, but it's the price of the purse times the number they produce. And then our price index or deflator is simply the current year market basket divided by the base year market basket, and then multiply that by 100. And then our real GDP is nominal GDP divided by the deflator, and then times 100. Okay? And that's what they make. Yeah, Vera Bradley. So. Corbin knew what they were. No. Huh? Yeah, it's LV. If I was going to buy an expensive thing, it'd say JW all over it. I don't want somebody else's initials. That's silly. Are y'all good? Did you write all this down? Fez, you good? All right. All right, here we go. Wait on Addison. Okay, Addison's good. Ashley, good? All right. Diana, good? Not good. That's all right. That's okay. Ooh. All right, Diana says, let's go. All right, so 2012 comes along. Count the purses. How many did they make? 10. All right. So they produced 10 purses in 2012. So what's our nominal GDP? 500. All right, good job. Oh well. That's just irritating. All right. So you're learning how to do this one stroke. I can't lift the pen ever. All right, 500 is nominal GDP. What's our market basket? 50. Christine is correct, because the market basket, if you'll remember from the last page, contains one purse at a price of $50. Okay. Now, what's our price index? How do we do this? Good job. Okay. So what's our current year? The one we're talking about is the current year, so 2012. So you're about to learn something that's unique for all base years. It's always 100. Okay? We got the current year market basket, which is 50, because we just calculated it right here, right? 1 times 5, 1 times 50. Then the base year also happens to be 2012, so it's also 50. That cancels each other out to become 1. 1 times 100 equals 100. So this is important, okay? Sometimes you're not going to be told what the base year is. But if you're given that the price index for that year is 100, guess what the base year is? It's that year, okay? So you'll just learn something. You're going to see something else unique about the base year. What's real GDP? It's also 500, okay? So in the base year, there's no inflation, because there hadn't had time to be. So the nominal is the same as the real, okay? So without even calculating real GDP, you can always tell what the base year GDP is, same as the nominal, okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay? So now we have 2013. Now they produce 10 purses again, but now they cost $60. So what's our nominal GDP? Now it's 600, the value of what's produced that year. Okay? What's our market basket? $60, because it's one purse, right? Now somebody with a calculator tell us our price index. Is it? I don't know. That sounds good then. That's what it is, though? Okay. Okay, cool. So 120. Okay. Now our real GDP. Yeah, you did. It's right here. 120. Mm-hmm. It's 500. Okay. Yeah, so our real GDP
Why is the market basket
equals 600.
Yeah, it's like 10 versus the
Well, it's like this is to mimic our giant economy. Our giant economy makes billions of things, right? But our market basket can't have a billion things in it. So it only has in reality, I think it has 350 things in it. So you're asking the same question. Why does this only have one thing in it? You could transpose that question to be, why does our economy only have 350 things in it? Just to make it simple, okay? That's because I'm just illustrating how we do this. Is that cool? I mean, it doesn't really matter for this one because all they make is a purse. So, yes, sir. No. It's the only reason it's equal is because output didn't change. Remember, real GDP is a measure of output, right? Okay, Jordan. The market basket is just what the government decides is in this market basket of goods that they use to calculate inflation from year to year to year. So they figure, let's say in our real economy, the market basket has a gallon of gas, a taco, some Dr. Pepper, maybe a pair of jeans, a movie ticket, and they take the cost of all that stuff in one year. And then the next year, they add up what all that stuff costs again. And then the next year, they add up what all that stuff costs again. And so if you get different prices each year, then that gives you what your inflation is. Does that make sense? Okay. So in our example, we're just using one purse because all they make is purses. You could put all 10 in there if you want, but it doesn't matter. Well, let's see what it does in 2014. Okay. They're making 9 purses at $70 each. What's their nominal GDP? 630. Okay. What's the market basket? 70. So what's the price index? 140. Tell them how you did that. So let's use the 50 up here and the 70 right there. Okay, so 70 divided by 50 times 100, 140. Okay, what's our real GDP? $450. Okay? Everybody okay? All right. So now you can make judgments. In 2012, GDP was 500. 2013, it was also 500. And then what happened in 2014? It went down to 450. Well, okay. We actually call this a recession. Okay, we're going to learn how we call these phases of the business cycle. We're going to learn it next class. But whenever GDP falls, we call that a recession. It is a thing. Okay, Alex, deflation is a thing, but anytime prices go up, you can't have deflation. So see, prices went up, so we don't have deflation. All right, we cool? We're going to do another example of this as we move forward. And your homework has examples that actually have 4 or 5 things in the market basket, so that maybe it'll be more real to you. But here's your cautionary note. Just use what the definitions are, okay? If the question on your homework or on a test tells you the market basket contains, add up what the market basket is for year 1 or whatever, base year, and then add it up for the next year, and just go through the process. Okay? This makes it look very simple. It can get complicated. Just go through the process. All right? All right, let's answer these questions real fast. GDP is the monetary value of all final domestic goods and services produced by or within a nation in 1 year. Within, good. If net foreign factor income earned in the U.S. is positive, then which of these is larger, GDP or GNP? GDP, that means foreigners are doing things in our country, which adds to our GDP. Okay? Double or multiple counting can be avoided by counting only which type of goods? Final goods. So which type of goods and services refer to products purchased by the ultimate users then? Final. Transfer payments, that's when you take money from those who are working and give to those who are not working. Do or do not count in GDP? Do not count. Because they do not reflect current production. Okay, the purchase of 100 shares of GM stock or the purchase of a drill press, which of those is not real investment? Stock purchase is good. If depreciation exceeds gross private domestic investment, it can be concluded that net investment is negativo, and will have declining productive capacity. Okay? Depreciation can be determined by adding or subtracting net investment from gross investment. Subtracting them, yeah. What's the largest component of GDP? And the smallest? Net exports. Okay. Net domestic product is GDP minus indirect business taxes or GDP minus depreciation? Nice. Yeah, see, y'all are good. Yeah, y'all are good. Real GDP and nominal GDP differ because real GDP has been adjusted for changes in what? It's price level. So price level is another term that we use for inflation. Okay? Yeah. The level of inflation is also known as the level of the price level. All right. These are really hard to read, aren't they? All right, so let's look at it. This year, you got stock of capital at the beginning of the year is equal to the stock of capital at the end of the year. This one, you got the stock of capital here, and then the stock of capital is actually, it looks like bigger? No, it's smaller. Okay, yeah, it shrank. This was the original, and it got smaller. Okay. And then this one, stock of capital here, and now it's bigger. Okay? So, okay, which has declining productive capacity? Okay. And then which has static? Okay. All right, good. Which is the best? C. I'm sorry, which of the three? Which of the three is the best? If we only had those other two, though, static would be it. Okay? All right, calculator time. Let's make sure we know how to do this. Jordan, you do the blue one. Okay. And Addison, you get the green one. Hannah, you get the maroon one. And we're going to test ourselves, see if we know how to use the calculator. Yeah, it is. So we remember. Okay. There you go. Okay. It's really hard to format those things. I like math. Yeah, that's good at math. Oh, it's really hard. It's really hard. The highest math I ever took was the number 2 calculus, but in economics you actually go beyond that, and so you kind of learn a little bit as you go, or more. Yeah. We had to do this thing called Lagrangians, which is like calculus on steroids. It's horrible. It's called Lagrangians. All right. So, Jordan, you're up first. What do we got? Good. 4839. And then it was 0.4. And then, I forgot. Addison, you had green? Perfect. All right. And then Hannah, you had 4848. Good job. All right, so we know how to do this now, right? Okay. So I'm going to skip these guys. Now we've got our second exercise. All right, now we're going to look at the country of North Korea in a second. Okay, so we've got all these formulas again. Here's another term for our deflator. Okay, now it's called consumer price index. It doesn't matter what we call it. Anytime you see the words price index, that's what you're going to use to deflate. Okay, But again, the formulas are the same. Current year divided by the base year for the market baskets times 100. GDP deflator, same thing. Current year market basket divided by the base year market basket times 100. Okay. GDP deflator and index are the same thing. Nominal GDP is just price times output, or it's adding up consumption, investment, government purchases, net exports. Real GDP is nominal divided by the index times 100. And then we're also going to add in the growth rate. Okay? When we calculate growth rate, we're actually calculating how real GDP is growing. Okay? So we take real GDP number 2 divided by, or minus real GDP number 1. So this is like a current year minus the previous year, that sort of thing. Or the change in real GDP over time, divided by your real GDP in that first year, and then times 100. So I don't want to confuse y'all, but growth rate is the same thing that y'all have used in your science classes. Okay, by what percent did the bacteria in the petri dish double in 1 year, or whatever? Okay. Oh, I'll wait for Diana. You let me know when you're done. By the way, you've already written down some of these, right? No, they're good on quizzes and homework and everything. I think it's on the syllabus. All right, you ready? Oh, have y'all seen this? This is the North Korean Commie Brigade. I know, right? That's a real thing. No, I don't think they do. I made that part up. I just thought it was interesting. All right, here we go. All right, so North Korea makes eyeglasses. That's all they make. Okay? They make sunglasses, they make regular glasses, they make all kinds of glasses. All right? We're going to fill in nominal GDP for each year, the price of the market basket, which contains 2 eyeglasses. Okay? We're also told that the base year is 2009. Okay? Then we're going to get the GDP deflator. We're going to convert that nominal into real, and then we're going to find the GDP growth rate. I kept the formulas down here for you, so they're ready to roll. And we're going to have you guys do this. So let's see. Who should do what? Tell you what we'll do. We'll have Lindsay. I want you to calculate all of the nominal GDPs for each year, okay? And then Sophia, I want you to do the market baskets for each year. All right? Once that's done, then we're going to have, see, Jordan, you're going to do the GDP index for 2008. Keep this up. Keep this in mind because I won't remember who's got what. Megan, you're going to do real GDP. Actually, you're going to do that later. Hang on. Megan, you're going to do GDP deflator for 2009. Bibbit's going to do the same thing for 2010. Katie's going to do that for 2011. Then we've got, let's see, who else? Ashley, you're going to do real GDP for 2008 after we get all these other numbers we need. Okay. Addison, you're going to give us real GDP for 2009. And let's see, Angela, you give us real GDP for 2010. Grace, you're going to give us real GDP for 2011. Then we're going to move to growth rate. Fez, we can't do growth rate for 2008, okay? Because there's no previous year. Fez, you're going to do growth rate for 2009 after we get the appropriate numbers, okay? Grant, you're going to do growth rate for 2010, and then Jacob, 2011. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to make it a little different. Okay. All right. So, who was doing our nominal GDP? I forget. Okay. What do we got? What numbers? Okay. Okay. Whoops, 59.7, and then 300. Okay, so based on our nominal GDP, it looks like the economy is growing. The North Korean people have no idea how bad things are. It's all good, right? All right, cool. Who had our price of market baskets? Okay. Yep. You're right. And then 6.
At each of these years, that's the current market basket.
Yeah. That's the current value of the market basket because we're using this year's prices times the number 2 because that's how many's in it. Okay? All right. So who had our GDP deflator for 2008? Oh, okay. This one's a little tricky. Yes. No, the base year is the 450. So let's circle our base year. So everybody who's doing price indexes, that's our base year, 450. Okay? 88? Okay. That sounds good. So she took $4 and divided by the base year of 450 times 100, get her 88. Good. All right. Who's next? I don't remember. Megan, go ahead. 100. Okay. Did you have to calculate it? She didn't even have to calculate it because we said base year is 2009, so it's got to be 100. All right, good. 2010? Who had that? I forget. Pivot. Okay. Yep. $108. I have no reason to doubt you. So I guess that's right. Okay. Who's next? 133? Okay. Usually we'll do the decimals as well so we get a completely accurate. Yeah, that's fine. We don't have to. All right. Y'all good on those? All right. So now who's got our real GDP for 2008? Who's I? Oh. Ariel? Oh. Who said I? Oh, Ashley. Is that right? 227.27?
Yes.
Okay. So we had to actually inflate this year, didn't we? We had to make it bigger because the dollars in 2008 were not as pricey as the 2009 ones. So we had to inflate that year. Okay. Good job. I assume that's right. You took 200 divided by 88 and then times 100. Perfect. All right. So who's got 2009? All right. What do you got? Okay. So you knew this, since it's a base year, it's also real. Or you can divide this by 100 times 100 and you get that, right? Okay, cool. 2010? 240.46? I'm guessing you're right, because I don't have a calculator. Is that good? Y'all keeping me honest? All right. Good job. 2011? 225.56. Is that right, guys? Okay. Good. So we've got growth, and then negative growth, right? All right, so Fez, you're going to help us out with this. Were you 2009 growth rate? All right, go ahead. 3.95. Can y'all double check? Make sure that's right. Did you take 236.25 and subtract 227.27? Good. And then times 100 gives us 3.95. Perfect. All right. And then, Grant, you had 2010? 1.78-ish. Okay, you did it the same way. You took the difference between these two and then divided by the previous year. Okay? Good. All right, Jacob. I don't know. Yeah. Times 100. Yep. What is it? Negative? Should be negative, and then 2.24 is what you came up with? Okay, I'll buy that. Cool. I didn't do the math. Is Corbin, are we good? Oh. All right, so we got to redo that. Jacob, punch these numbers in. Okay, clear everything. Put in 225.56. Subtract 240.46. Hit equals. Okay. Now divide by 240.46. You hit equals. Times 100. What do we get? Negative 6 point what? 19? All right, cool. So that's how we do it. Y'all feel okay? Not too bad? All right, so let's go to the next slide. And we need to go over this because I saw one question on your homework about inflation. Okay? So go back for a second. This is just rate of change. Everybody cool with that? Rate of change is stuff y'all have done in other classes. So we're going to do the same thing with inflation. Okay? Inflation is just the rate of change for prices. You can actually calculate this using just the price. In a simple economy where all you have is one good being produced, you can measure inflation by figuring out the change for that one price thing. Or you can do it using a market basket. Or you can use it using your price indices. Okay? They'll all give you the same answer. And to prove it, we're going to calculate inflation using price, using the inflation rate, or using market basket, and using the price index. 3 of y'all are going to do this using 3 different numbers independently, and you're going to get the exact same number. Okay? All right, so Christine, you do 2000, or you're going to do 2008 using, oh, we can't do 2008, my bad. So these are gone because there's no year to compare them to. Christine, for 2009, you're going to give us the inflation rate using price. Katie's going to do it using the market basket. And Hannah's going to do it using the price index. Yep, for 2008. Then for 2009, Diana, you're going to do it. 2009 is what we're going to do. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, 2009. Then for 2010, we're going to do the exact same thing. Christine, you're going to do using price. Diana's going to use market basket. And then, Allie, you haven't answered anything today. You're going to do the price index one for 2010. And then Corbin, you've got the inflation rate using price for 2011. Who else? Ariel, you've been quiet today. You're going to do it using the market basket. And then Fez, you're going to wrap us all up using the price index for 2011. Yep. We're going to see how we do. All right, who's first? Are we ready? Okay. Okay. Here's some formulas for inflation. Current year minus previous year divided by the previous year times 100. Okay. It's just the change divided by the previous times 100. That's all it is. And by the way, we care nothing about the base year anymore. Okay, base year doesn't matter. Yeah, you're going to use price index. Doesn't matter. Not when we're calculating inflation. So who had the first box for 2009? Are they ready? So who had it? Did you have it? Okay, I think you have it. Okay. So what do we do? You're using price. That's for another year. Yeah, she got 2009. Maybe you're doing price index.
No, I think not.
All right, whatever. Go ahead.
So you take 2.25 minus $2, which gives you 0.25 divided by 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Perfect. Okay. 12.5% is our inflation rate from 08 to 09. Okay? Let's confirm it, though. Who has market basket? Okay.
I got 12.5.
That's right.
Yeah, I did it wrong the first time.
Okay. And using the index. Who's got the index in? Yeah. Now, you're going to take the difference between the two, which is what, 11.1, and then divide by 100. Or no, divide by 88.9, my bad. Okay, now times 100. Good. Okay. So when you're calculating inflation rates, you can, maybe you're given this, but not this. Or maybe you're given this and not the other two. The point is you can calculate inflation using all three of those numbers. Okay? All right, so what do we got for 2010 then? Whoever has 2010, all three of you state what the inflation rate is at the same time on the count of 3. See if it's right. 1, 2, 3. 8.9? 8.9? Who's the third one? I don't know who it is, but that sounds good. This one's actually pretty easy. See the difference here? Okay, if you're going from the base year, that's the inflation rate. Okay? The index is just a representation of how much, what percent prices are greater than they were in the base year. So for 2010, prices are 108.9% of what they were in the base year. So 8.9 is our correct answer. All right, for 2011 then, all three of you in unison give us the inflation rate on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow, nice. I'm assuming y'all are right. Are they right? Okay. So you take any of these numbers. You can take 55 divided by 245. Let's see. I know. I'm going to double check because people get upset if we're wrong. No, it'll be good. Yep, 22.4. Yep. All right, so at this point in time, did we get to all of this? All right. That means y'all can do your homework now. I mean, we've gained access to our homework. Now, we're not finished, but this is your homework. 3.2a, that's just practice using the formulas. So you're just given straight numbers. No, not real word problems. It's just nominal GDP is this, price index is this, what's real GDP, okay? Then 3.2b is more, I don't know, applying that knowledge, okay? Word problems, okay? 3.2c is just that national income accounting we did at the very beginning where you had to calculate national income, you know, gross domestic product, then net domestic product, and national income, and so on. So that's what y'all need to do. All right. The rest of today, I just want y'all to kind of absorb mentally. You don't have to take notes. But I want y'all to understand the difference between increases in real GDP and actual increases in economic growth. Okay? Because we can have greater GDP, but if we're not having economic growth, then that doesn't really mean much to us. So economic growth is just our ability to produce more stuff. Not the fact that we did produce more stuff. It's just, are we able to produce more? So increase in real GDP is an increase in income, and it's an increase in our standard of living. But if we want that to continue, we have to understand where growth actually comes from. Okay? So we kind of already knew this. Real GDP divided by our population gives us our real GDP per capita. Here's where your growth comes from. Okay? Increase in resources. We learned this with the PPC, right? More resources or new technology. Okay, and when we talk about more resources here, mainly we're talking about capital. Okay, increase in productivity. So this is where the technology comes in. If you have new technology, you're going to end up being more productive. Okay, the computer allows people to work harder, do more stuff. Okay. We also end up with better health. That's a way that we can increase productivity. Better training, more education. So all of those are sources of productivity growth. Okay, human capital appreciation. And then what's the last one? More motivation. All right. Have y'all ever heard of third world countries? Okay. We don't call them that anymore. We call them developing. Okay, because you've got the developed nations. That means they've accumulated a lot of capital. But then you've got the developing world where they haven't accumulated a lot of capital. Can y'all think of reasons why they don't have a lot of capital? Okay, maybe they have resources. Hold on, what? Yeah, what are they spending all of their income on? Food, clothing, shelter. Yeah, and so they don't have the ability to accumulate capital. Okay, they just don't have it. So it's like this cycle of poverty. All right, they don't have money for saving, which means if they can't save money, they can't invest it, meaning they can't buy capital. Okay, so no money for real capital. If they don't have real capital, they don't get development. If they don't have development, they don't get income. Yeah. Greenland? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty far away. You got all this. You got a whole bunch of Canada in between. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna move on. Sorry. Okay, do y'all remember this? This is a little bit of review from our very first unit. So we did talk about this. This would be the developing world. Okay, they spend most of the resources on consumption because they have to. They don't have the ability to eat and build factories. Whereas a developed country, they're going to spend more of their resources on capital goods. That enables them to have more growth in the future. Okay. So again, I'm just asking y'all to absorb this a little bit because it's kind of important. So I already explained a little bit of the difference between GDP growth and economic growth. Okay. GDP growth just means you get more stuff. Okay. Economic growth means you have the ability to produce more. So we're gonna look at some containers that hold the stock of capital. Okay. Here it is. It's container one. It's got what 1, 2, 3 pieces of capital in it. Okay. So it's filled up. It's ready to go, and it makes stuff. And it makes this amount of stuff, PVC. Okay. Then over time, the container actually gets bigger because we're able to devote more and more of our resources towards capital accumulation. So we got more stuff, more growth. And then we get this one. Okay, so the USA has a lot of ability to produce things because we're a developed country. Okay, 2 main ways GDP grows. You can have more input, or you can become more productive. Okay. If you look at our history, though, do we have more resources today than we had 100 years ago? Really? I mean, if you look at it, we have more capital, but do we have more of the land? Yeah, we don't have as much, I guess, land. There's less oil, I suppose. What else? There's probably more entrepreneurial ability, more capital. There's more labor, but not as a percent of our population necessarily. So it's not like we've got more of all that stuff. So when we increase our real GDP, the big driver of that is productivity changes. And the way you get productivity increases is through capital. Okay? So imagine, remember we talked about the guy who digs a ditch? If he's got a machine, can he dig a bigger ditch faster? Okay, so that's the big difference is productivity. Okay, and the way you get productivity is more capital. So if we have growth in the labor force, that's good. But if you don't have more capital along with it, then it's not going to be good. You're going to end up having lower productivity because productivity is just how much can you produce per hour of labor. So if you have a whole bunch more labor, but you don't have more capital, you're not going to produce very much more, which actually ends up being less productive. So we have to have our capital stock growing as rapidly as our population. Otherwise, we'll become less productive. So let's see. All right, this is important. All right, so a lot of people always question, okay, why is the United States so successful? Why can't those African nations be successful? Because they have just as many resources. If you look at them, they've got all kinds of minerals. Okay, Nigeria is full of oil. Okay, they've got lots of ability, or at least they have a lot of resources where they should have a good economy. But here's some things that you have to have in order to have a strong economy. You have to have strong property rights. If you guys work hard and you invent something, okay, would you like to be rewarded for that invention? What if you don't have property rights? Then it doesn't matter who invented it. Or how about this? Do you want, if you worked hard and you saved up your earnings and you built a factory, and then all of a sudden the government said, you know what, that factory's not yours anymore, we're going to take it. What happened to your property rights? You don't have any. So in order to have growth, you have to have strong property rights. Okay? Same with patents and copyrights. I just mentioned that one. Efficient financial institutions. All right? If you have a great idea and you want to build a factory and build this new company, you have to have the way to get financing. And if you don't have a banking system that's strong, you're not going to be able to get the financing. One of the things we learned when we started going down to Honduras is that they don't have a true banking system where people can go buy a house. You all know what I'm talking about? If y'all want to buy a house, first of all, the average house here is like $200,000. So who has $200,000 in their pocket? Yeah, you got to get a loan. I think probably 95 or greater % of people have to get a loan to buy a house. Well, in Honduras, you can't get a loan to buy a house. So guess what people live in? They live in whatever they can build with what's on the ground, okay? Unless you're wealthy. If you're wealthy, you're going to pay cash for a house. So we got to have the efficient financial institutions. Literacy and education, all right? If you're not educated, you can't operate the complicated machinery that we have today. So you're going to be less productive. And then free trade. Remember we learned about that? Okay, if you rely solely on yourselves, you're not going to produce as much as you otherwise would.